Here's the truth on what really separates successful people from total failures. Successful people don't rely on discipline or motivation to get things done. They follow a few simple rules, and those rules make it easy to be productive even when they don't feel like it. And I get it because I used to be all over the place. I'm a college dropout and a C-level English student with ADHD. So I was trying to do everything. I was burning out. I was getting nowhere. But then everything changed when I created these 8 simple productivity hacks. Because the people who win, they don't just do more. In fact, they do a lot less, but they do the things that truly matter and that truly move the needle. So here are my 8 favorite productivity hacks to move the needle in your business and in your life. Number 1, a morning routine in the miracle morning. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, Chandler, I'm not a morning person. I want to tell you about a book that absolutely changed my life forever. I can draw a line in the sand from before I read this book and after I read this book, really before I had a morning routine and after I had a morning routine. And it's a demarcation point in my life and in my career. I dropped out of school. I'm trying to get this business off the ground. It's like kind of this weird feeling when you go from everything is scheduled for you to no schedule. There's a saying that if you want something done, you give it to a busy person. Well, I found that to be true because I realized that when I had class, when I had school, when I had all these things, I was actually a lot more productive. And then when I just had this wide open schedule, I wasn't getting anything done. And that all changed when I read this book by a buddy of mine. His name's Hal Elrod, and the book is called The Miracle Morning. Okay, so the Miracle Morning talks about these savers. Okay, it's an acronym, savers, and it's really, he studied all of the most successful people on the planet, and he found out that they had a few things in common. So he said, well, what if I just combined all those things into a morning routine so that by the time that morning routine's over, you've already accomplished more than 99.9% of people on the planet. All right, and so that's what a morning routine does, is it gives you structure, yes. For me, if I don't do my morning routine, my day's totally off the rails, and it's like you're in reactive whack-a-mole mode, just trying to catch up, right? But if I do that, I feel accomplished, and my mind is right for the day ahead. Okay, so this is really, really important. Don't ignore this, because not only do you have kind of this sense of accomplishment, but you've got progress before you even get into the most important stuff. Now, your morning routine doesn't have to be some complicated 5-hour thing. And in fact, I would encourage you not to go down that path. It's a clear sign that you're a beginner in your career or you're a beginner entrepreneur is you got a 7-hour morning routine. It needs to be simple, but really effective and embed the most important things like reading, like affirmations, like a little bit of exercise, maybe even some visualization or the stuff that Hal talks about in there. And I've got a whole other video on this. So if you want to, watch my morning routine process, and I can break down the full process to create a morning routine, check out that video. That's the first thing, is a morning routine. Number 2, eyes on the prize. Okay, so you've done your morning routine. Now you're getting into your day. And really, if you want to be successful, if you want to be productive, you got to get into the main thing as quickly as possible. Now, how do you know what the main thing is, though? You got to define it. So this starts with yearly, monthly, weekly, daily goals. Really, really important. All right. So I've defined what success looks like for the year. Then I've just defined what success looks like for the month. It's like, hey, what are my top 3 most important things for this month to hit my yearly goals? I drill down further on a weekly level and on a daily level, and this just helps me keep the main thing the main thing. I've got kind of my prime time, which is in the mornings. Eyes on the prize means 2 things. It means, number 1, you know where you're headed and what's most important. But then number 2, you spend your first few hours of your day on the most important thing. No exceptions, no meetings, no any of that stuff that's going to distract you from what you really need to get done. And because a lot of times what you say no to is way more important than what you say yes to. The temptation is really strong to just wake up, look at your phone, doom scroll social media, or if you get sucked into reactive mode, your email, aka others people's priorities, right? Well, then you're not going to focus on what's truly going to move the needle. So that's the second thing. Eyes on the prize. You got to be really clear about what's most important. Number 3, dress for success. I can already cue the eye rolls on this one again. And I love the Deion Sanders quote. He says, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. And if you play good, they pay good. So there's nothing like showing up for work and feeling good about yourself. Now, this is important even if you're working from home. I remember, I worked from home for about a decade. And there's this mental cue to dressing well that might honestly be the most important part, which is you go into work mode mentally. So if you're working from home, you roll out of bed, no morning routine, you throw in your sweats, and then you just are at your computer, a lot of times that's not a good recipe for success, because what you're doing is you're training your brain that you're in chill mode, right? Your brain is saying, I'm in my sweats at my house, in my bed or on the couch or whatever. I'm not working. Even the physical act of, even when I work from home, saying, all right, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do my morning routine. But at the end of that morning routine, I'm going to switch into my work clothes. Now, I'm not going anywhere. No one's going to see me. I'm on Zoom. It's just like some people are just, business up top, party down below. Maybe they're wearing no pants. I don't know. But I'm like, hey, I need to look good and I need to feel good. So I'm going to put on my work clothes. And especially if you're early in your career, let's say you're showing up to conferences, you're showing up to networking events, whatever. I found for me, I couldn't get people to take me seriously. I'm the youngest person in the room. I dropped out of college. People already think I'm a loser. I need to show up and show people that I'm taking this seriously. So my maxim was, and maybe you disagree with this, maybe you don't, but my maxim was, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be the best dressed person in the room, because instantly you command the attention of the room and people know that you're serious. I was showing up with suspenders, a bow tie, the whole thing, and people took me seriously, and it helped me get opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had. Number 4, work without distractions. And I got a question for you, and that's, does your environment support your goals? Now, this is in all facets of life, right? The Jim Rohn quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So are you surrounding yourself with people who inspire you to think bigger, dream bigger, act bigger, right? So does your environment support your goals in that way? But then also your office or your working environment. Okay, if you're working from home, are you out in the living room? There's kids running around, there's chores that need to be done. That's not effective. Like, how are you supposed to get stuff done if you don't have a dedicated office, or if you don't have, noise canceling headphones, or whatever you got to do to stay locked in? Because I'm just a big fan of this kind of principle of, when I'm at work, I'm all at work. Okay, so I don't want any distractions. I don't want social media. I don't want my phone going off. I don't want any of that stuff. And then when I'm not at work, I'm not at work. So I don't want to get pinged in Slack and Asana and all the different things when I'm not at work, right? So in order to do that, you've got to create a work environment, whether you're at your office, at your home office, or wherever you're working from. You got to create an environment that supports your goals. So that means you've got a good work environment. Maybe you've got a stand-up desk so you can go up and down throughout the day. You've got a door that you can close. It's distraction free. I've got a whole other video on how to work from home successfully. So if you're working from home, if you just want to optimize your workspace, I go all the way down to, is your chair comfortable? All right. So check out that video, but it needs to be distraction free. This is really, really important. There's even a setting on your phone that I use. When I show up to work, my phone goes into work mode. So it just automatically changes based on the location. All right. So now all of a sudden, I'm not getting texts and calls and all that stuff for outside work stuff. Another simple thing that I do, my phone is for personal, my computer is for work. So when I'm on my computer, it's work stuff. I don't have my email and a bunch of work apps on my phone. Now, sure, do I do business via text and whatever else? Of course. But it's, by and large, it's not the place that I get work done. So I can just throw my phone across the room when I get to work, or have it automatically turn on to work mode, and I'm focused. Now, same thing. I don't have my text messages on my computer. I'm not trying to get blown up all day and get distracted 17 times a day by texts from who knows who. People know how to reach me. If it's my team, it's in Slack or it's somewhere else, right? So I'm just going into the minutia here to just show you the level of detail with which you've got to guard yourself from distractions. And if you're working from home, or even if you're working in an office, sometimes that means setting boundaries and just saying, hey, I'm at work. I'm so sorry that this came up. We got to talk about it after work. This is especially when I was working from home, is you'll have contractors show up. You'll have delivery people show up. You'll have the spouse or kids coming into your office. And it's like, I am not here. I know it looks like I'm here. And this is kind of funny with contractors or delivery people. It's like, I know it may look like I'm at home, but I'm actually not at home. I'm not available for whatever. I'm not available for a random, trip to a theme park or lunch or whatever people try to tell you that you can do when you work from home. I'm not available for that. That's outside of working hours. And so it just helps guard your time, so you're getting more done in the time that you're actually working. And so this is kind of, I know it seems kind of intense, but it's the ultimate freedom, because it keeps you from having to work 70, 100-hour weeks, because you're getting, instead of just constantly being 1 foot in, 1 foot out in your work life and your outside of work life, you're all in or you're all out. Okay, so work without distractions. And the last kind of tip that I'll give here is buffer and focus days. This is something that's been really helpful for me. I think this is a Dan Kennedy concept. So buffer days, these are just like it sounds. This is when you have meetings or outside stuff that's not the most important thing. So for me, this is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we got some team meetings on Monday. I got my one-on-ones on Wednesday afternoon. And then maybe there's a couple operational meetings or something sprinkled into Fridays. But then Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are my focus days. So I try to keep those as clear as possible so that I'm making progress on the most important thing, right? And so that just allows you to kind of, instead of having meetings sprinkled all throughout your week, which is not productive at all. You're starting, stopping, starting, stopping, starting, stop. The switching cost on doing that is really, really high. So you got buffer days, you got focus days, and even something like me recording this video. This is one of the most important things in my life and in my business. So it happens on a Thursday morning. So work without distractions. That's number 4. Number 5, control the controllables. This is a mantra that we talk about all the time at selfpublishing.com. And a lot of times when you're going after some big goal in your life, in your business, it can feel like so many things are out of your control. Or a mistake that a lot of people make is they focus only on the lagging indicators. So maybe you've heard of this concept, leading versus lagging indicators. So leading, this is what leads to the outcomes that you're hoping for in your business or in your life. And the controllables, same thing, right? So these are the things that I can control. And if I control those things really well, then it's going to lead to the outcomes that I'm hoping for in my business. So I'll give you a couple examples here. First one, sales goal. So let's say I'm in an outbound phone sales role. Well, I know that if I talk to enough people with a good enough skill set, that is going to lead to more sales in my role. So what can I control? Well, I can control my effort. I can control how many calls that I'm making. I can control my skill set, right? Am I reading books? Am I sharpening my skill set? Am I watching film, right? We do it in sports. We normalize it in sports, but for some reason it's weird in the business world. Or am I listening to other people's calls? Am I listening to my own calls? Am I reviewing my work, sharpening the saw, as we call it, to improve my skill set? Those are all the things that I can control. The Abe Lincoln quote that I love, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe, right? So I'm sharpening my skill set and I'm focused on what I can control. Now, this is really, really important because if you just focus on the outcomes, well, then every day you're going to feel like a failure. It's every day, oh my gosh, we haven't hit the goal yet. We haven't hit the goal yet. Okay, we still haven't hit the goal. That's not helpful. What can I control today to move the needle? Okay, so even just something as simple as growing this YouTube channel, right? Which, by the way, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Are you kidding me? Click the subscribe button, like this video, comment on this video. I know that what I can control is creating the best content possible. Okay, so am I focusing on that? Am I putting in the work? Am I sharpening my concepts? Am I recording enough videos, or am I just doing one video a month and just hoping that it catches, right? Control the controllables. Number 6, win the day consistently. So when I was in college, I worked for a company called Suda Painters. Think of it kind of like an internship meets franchisee model. I call it the Navy SEALs Hell Week, but it was 7 months and now I'm business. So it was the ultimate boot camp to get better at business. And so basically they teach you how to run a business by running a house painting business. So you're doing door-to-door sales. You're knocking on doors. You're convincing people that they should let a college student paint their house. Then you're hiring painters. You're hiring door knockers, all this stuff. So my goal when I joined that organization is I want to be the number one in the company, and I want to be the number one in the country out of hundreds of branch managers. So it was a big goal. It was ambitious. It was my first year in the company. And so I went up to the CEO and I said, hey, I want to be the number one in the country. I want to be the number one in the company. I'm going to do it. Can you help me? And can you coach me? So kind of a lesson within a lesson there is be publicly accountable. If you got big goals, post about them. Tell other people about them so that failure is not an option. So I told him that. He coached me up. And then the core mantra that I kept out the whole summer and kind of the whole time I was running this business is, did I do better than everyone in the country today? Big question, right? But if the answer to that question is no, enough days in a row, well, then why would I expect to win? So I'd say the same question for you. If you've got big goals in your life or in your business, you know, ask that question of, did I win the day today? Like, am I on track or off track? And if the answer to that question is no, enough days in a row, well, why in the world would you expect to one day wake up and hit your goal? And so this is why in my business, we have green days and red days. It's a simple concept, but we break down everything into basically, were we green or were we red today? And if we're red too many days in a row, well, then we didn't win the day. We didn't win the day consistently, so we're not going to hit our big outcomes. So ask yourself the question, did I win the day today? This is kind of an end of day litmus test. And are you stacking enough of those in a row? Because if you do, success is inevitable. Number 7, done is better than perfect. We have a mantra at selfpublishing.com. It's actually one of our core values: fail fast, fail forward, fail often. We believe that the best learning comes in implementation and then failing and learning from that, right? So iterate, and you can't learn on something that's not done or something that's not pushed out into the marketplace. And so this applies to books, this applies to businesses. I think this was famously the Facebook mantra early on, is you got to ship, right? Done is better than perfect. Take imperfect action and default to action. So there's a lot of days where, and I see so many people fall in this trap. You just get trapped into paralysis analysis and they never ship. And so it's just day after day. It's like they're not actually getting stuff out there. They're not doing the things that they know that they need to do because they're hoping that they can get it 5% or 10% better. So instead of, this is kind of a Jeff Bezos maxim. I think he said when you get to 80% confident on a decision, you got to make that decision, because the time that it takes to get from 80 to 100% is not worth it. A lot of times a faster decision is a better decision, even if it's the wrong decision. In the same way, imperfect action today is far better than perfect action months from now. I remember being at a conference early on in my career, and one of the guys on stage was talking about this book that he published that wasn't perfect. And any author knows this. If you've ever been in the editing process, there's never an end point, right? There's never going to be a perfect time where all the stars align and you just think, this book is done. The book's never done. You just got to say, stop the madness. I'm publishing this thing. Someone was asking him, well, aren't you worried about this being a crappy book? And he said, well, my crappy published book is better than the book you ain't got, right? And the lesson in there is, hey, this is shipped, right? And we all know someone who has 5 perfectly written chapters in their unfinished book. No one knows about it, so who cares? So you got to default to action. Done is better than perfect. Number 8, this is the final one, the perfect day planning process. Okay, I've got a whole other video on this if you want to go deep and really nerd out on this. But I like kind of having bookends to your day. Okay, so at the beginning of your day, you're mapping out, hey, what does success look like? At the end of your day, you're recapping and you're clearing the deck. Okay, now sometimes people will just combine those two in one. And so if you're someone who likes less things to do, I would just follow this. And that's the perfect day planning process. So it's very simple. At the end of the day, you leave a 10 or 15 minute block. Okay, and I recommend putting this in your calendar as a recurring calendar event. And it's really just doing 2 things. Number 1, you write out your top 3 for the next day. It's very simple. So what are my top 3 most important things that I need to get done tomorrow that if I do those things will make everything else easier and necessary? And as with everything that I do or we do with goals, it's in order of importance. Okay. So now I've got my plan for tomorrow. So I've got my top 3 and then I'll kind of map it out for my day. It's just like, all right, first couple hours, I'm going to spend it on this number 1 thing. All right. Then I got this meeting maybe. Then, all right, I'm going to slide in the number 2 thing here, number 3 thing here. But it's in order of importance and it's how I'm structuring my day. So that's the most important thing. You really want to define that, get clear on that. And then number 2 is closing loops. Open loops are what cause you to be able to never turn off your brain. Maybe it's even causing you to not be able to sleep because you're just laying there at night thinking about all these things that are open. So I like to just do what I call clearing the deck at the end of every day. So I'll go through all my notifications. So for me, it's Asana and Slack are the 2 big ones. So I'm going through all the task stuff and saying, hey, let me get people answers to their questions. Now, what this also allows me to do is if I know that I'm doing this at the end of a day, well, I don't have to do it 70 times throughout the day because most decisions or most responses or any of that stuff, it can usually wait. Right? And so instead of getting sucked into that in the morning or instead of getting sucked into that all throughout the day, it's easy to say, hey, at the end of the day in my perfect day planning process, I'm just going to do that. So those are the 2 big things. You're clearing the deck so that you can leave work and truly leave work in mind, body, and spirit. Right? But then you're also mapping out what's most important for the next day. And what ends up happening is your subconscious starts to work through some of those things between today and what you start tomorrow. But also, it's just really nice because you wake up and this is what I need to do today. All right. So it's not just waking up and, meditating and thinking, okay, what lightning is going to strike today? You got clear priorities. You can go attack today. So that's it. This is the 8 productivity hacks I've learned the hard way through lots of failure over the last decade. I hope that this was helpful. I'd love for you to do 2 things right now. Number 1, subscribe to the channel. We're on a journey to 25,000 subscribers, so subscribe. And then secondly, I want you to check out this video. It's the morning routine video that I referenced earlier. If you want to build a morning routine, this goes in depth. I'll see you in the next video.